With YouTube demonetizing independent media, please consider becoming a patron today for just $1 per month. Link below. All right, so let's take a look here at Evil Dead, because apparently the Evil Dead producer has got some plans for what to do after the cancellation of Ash vs. Evil Dead. And now this is this wasn't necessarily a shock to many Evil Dead fans. It had a lot to do, I think, with the way that, Starz is not maybe the best home for this type of content, to be honest with you. But then again, they did have 4 seasons of Spartacus, which, was pretty violent, pretty bloody. So you figured this would be a pretty good fit. Unfortunately, though, not so much the case here with Ash vs. Evil Dead. Now, it says horror fans were dealt a disappointing blow earlier this year when Ash vs. Evil Dead wasn't renewed for a 4th season, resulting in Bruce Campbell officially retiring from his role as Ash J. Williams. Before hopes of the series and Campbell's involvement were dashed, Evil Dead producer Rob Tapert hoped to reboot the franchise with the new movie and still hopes to keep the series alive with Sam Raimi. And that's, I think, ultimately deep down, not going to really mesh well with a lot of fans. I'm sorry. I'll be the bearer of bad news. I will have that unpopular opinion, and I'll tell you why. I don't think it's going to work as well as they want it to, simply because no Bruce Campbell. Bruce Campbell is like the driving force behind Evil Dead, the driving force behind Ash vs. Evil Dead. Go back to the 2013 reboot, and it was like the coolest part of the movie was when he just mysteriously picked up at the end of the end of the end credits and just was like groovy. Like, that was it, right? Now, he goes on to say here that we had a really great idea for where it was going to go in the future, and it was something that Sam had been talking about, rebooting a movie, what that scenario would be. And then Bruce wrote to Sam and I one day and said, if they don't renew the series, I'm retiring from Ash. We asked, but Bruce, what about a movie? And he says, no, I'm retiring. And then Tapper says, so we'll see. The thing is, I think Bruce can be coaxed back out. I think if Sam Raimi directs it, or if Sam is directly 100% in the shit with him, I think he'll come back and do it. To me, that just seems to make the most sense, considering the fact that these guys have been friends for nearly 40 years, if not over 40 years, worked together on many projects, and this is something they'd have to do together. It says, as much as I liked the 2013 reboot, and I did, I thought that it was really well done. It kind of, again, felt like a bit of a rehash of something I'd already seen. And as much as Evil Dead 2 was basically a rehash of Evil Dead, this ultimately wasn't going to be the best, I think the best thing for us, for fans. So we'll have to wait and see what happens here. But it does say here, this is interesting. So when it talked about the new movie, if there is a movie, Tapert teased the concept of reviving the movie franchise by saying, Sam and myself have been talking about what a new incarnation would be. Well, you've already tried that 5 years ago, and it was a good horror movie, and it was a well-crafted, well-stylized horror film. But this would need to be, one last big event for Bruce Campbell. This would have to be one last big, huge event for Bruce Campbell, and have it just retire the character after that and maybe continue it forward. Maybe do a final movie in regards to Ash vs. Evil Dead. Now, this is where things get really sad. It says, given the cancellation of Ash vs. Evil Dead resulted in Campbell's permanent departure from the franchise, many fans have expressed their frustration at Starz' decision. Despite the disappointment at the franchise ending, Tapper confirmed how much support the series received from the network before the decision was made to pull the plug. So Starz was on board with the show, but they just saw that the ratings weren't really there. And he goes on to say, we knew the 3rd season that there was going to be a chance we'd get canceled. The ratings had been turning down, and it's hard to change that. Starz had been a good partner, pretty much letting us do anything we wanted. It probably just was not the right outlet for it. But they waited until the ratings came in for the 3rd season. We sold the rights to the first 2 seasons to Netflix, but they won't let a competitor have something that's theirs, which I kind of understand. It's unfortunate. So basically, Starz has the rights to Evil Dead, and they don't want to let a competitor have it. But if you're not, why? If you're not doing anything with it at this point, just let them have it. Just let them have the damn franchise. I don't know the numbers of Netflix and Ash vs. Evil Dead. No one does, because they never release that information. But at the same time, we're dealing with a situation here where, if Amazon picks up The Expanse, which is now what's being floated around, I'm not going to fully report on that until it's 100% confirmed. But you've got that. You've got other shows like Netflix picking up, Fuller House and the other kind of reboots that are out there. Why not go for this? Starz is just like, who owns Starz? You know, like, who can we petition as fans to let it go? Because if you're not going to use it, then do whatever. But at the same time, Netflix is the right home for something like Ash versus Evil Dead, and it's highly unfortunate we're not going to get a conclusion. If Starz was smart, they would go to the team and they would say, hey, listen, why don't you guys do a conclusion movie, wrap it up, give the fans the closure, permanently retire the character in an appropriate way, and then that doesn't leave people with that negative feeling in their mouth. And this is one of the big problems that comes from watching television, right? You get invested in the show, you get to like it, and then they cancel it without ever giving you closure. And it just makes it harder and harder and harder to get into shows. And I've said this before, and I'll say this again. Many people, myself included, will wait until there's a second season guarantee on a new show before going and starting to watch it, because they don't want to get caught up in something and then have it go away. And that is a problem. It's this. I understand networks are in it to make money. I get that. And if the ratings aren't there, you got to cancel the show. And I get that too. But if a show has got more than, let's say, 2 seasons, that should be like a contractual obligation to give it a wrap-up episode or episodes or a little movie or whatever. At least Netflix is doing that with Sense8, and even though the show failed to do well on Netflix, it at least is giving closure to the fans, and then that's going to show and reaffirm faith in the network as a content producer. And it's another one of the reasons why I very much like Netflix for what they do.